Yo, what up? It's your boy, Mr. E, and today we're going to talk about solving equations. So, this might look a little familiar to you from last week. Talked about the triangle method. What was the difference between an expression and an equation? The expression doesn't have an equal sign, the equation does have an equal sign. Well, last week we focused a lot on expressions. This week we're going to focus a little bit more on equations. Whoa, looks like Thanos came in and snapped away half of our slide.
I am inevitable.
So, what we're going to focus on today is exactly what an equation is, how we can solve it, and ways we can create it to help us solve word problems. So, when it comes to equations, something you'll see often is a variable. When I think of variables, I think of like in science where you have like something that you change out when you're testing something in order to help you find out something about something you're interested in. But a variable in math is simply a letter that we use to take the place of a number. A lot of the times when you see a variable, it'll be used as X or Y, and that's most common, but you can really use any letter you want. You can use E for Mr. E, you could use C for chicken wings, or you could use M for means. Now, you don't even have to use letters. For all I care, you could use a smiley face or a potato.
A potato flew around my room before you came. Excuse.
So these variables are really important because they take the place of the numbers while we're trying to figure it out. I kind of think of it like a basketball game. We have people that are on the bench that sub in for the stars. The sub in
Kobe.
players are your variables, so they're just taking the place of the stars while they rest. And then when the stars come back in, that means that we know our answer, okay? So we have an equation over here, okay? And when I think of an equation, I also think of a seesaw. It should be where whenever we find out what y is, it should make it equal, balanced, kind of like Thanos. And each side, if we were on a seesaw, if you were on a seesaw with someone that's the same weight as you, no matter which side you're on, it's going to be the same weight and it wouldn't go one way or the other. So you might see where your answer is on the left side, and that's okay. We just need to be prepared to know that it's not always going to be on the right side. And that equal sign just tells us that this is where the balance of the seesaw is, okay? So when we solve an equation, it's just like when we're simplifying an expression. We're going to use PEMDAS. We're going to go through and look at our order of operations and solve. When we solve, it'll look a little bit something like this. And look, we still have the triangle method going on here. Sorry, the lines got a little funky. But yeah, and then what you should be able to do is at the end, you should be able to check, okay, I think y equals 1. You replace y with 1 at the top, and you should get an answer where 1 equals 1. We'll talk about that more in a second, okay? Now, we need to think about what we can do to be able to create equations. If we can create equations when we're looking at word problems, it's going to help us solve them a lot better, okay? So let's take a look at a word problem, and let's see if we can create an equation to help us solve this. All right, Jimmy wanted to buy a game. I wonder if Jimmy got Fall Guys. That game's actually pretty fun. I wish I had a PlayStation 4 or a PC to play on it. Hopefully it comes out for the Switch soon. His mother paid him $5 each time he babysat his brother, twice that month, and $15 for mowing the yard. How much money did he earn? So I know that he has done two things. He has babysat, okay, and I think he babysat twice, right? Twice that month. So that's something important. And then I know that he mowed the yard. So to try to find out the total in which he bought, I know there's going to be two steps. So my first step is he makes $5 each time he babysat. So if he babysat his brother twice, I'm just going to say 5 times 2. Okay. And then I know that he mowed the yard once. Okay. So he only mowed it once. So I'm just going to add 15 at the end. Okay. And I know if I get this answer, that's going to give me the total. So I'm going to make it today the T for total. Okay. So 5 times 2 plus 15 should get me the total he earned that month. Okay. So using PEMDAS, we should be able to solve this equation, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look, and we notice that there's no parentheses, so we're good on parentheses. We're not going to have exponents in 5th grade. We don't have to worry about that. We do have multiplication, so we're going to take a look and do this multiplication first, okay? So 5 times 2 would get us 10. Okay. And then we rewrite the rest of our equation. Remember, that's a really important step. Before you do any more math, you want to make sure you rewrote the rest of your equation. Okay. No more multiplication, no more division. Last step is addition and subtraction. We do have some addition here. So we know that this total was $25. Now, this was a pretty simple problem, and I'm thinking some of you guys, as you were watching me do it, was like, I solved that in my head. I was able to figure out he made $25 in the month just like that. But you're going to have some times where you're having decimals, fractions, and more than 2 steps, and you're going to have to actually write out the equation. So it's good practice to start trying to figure out how to create equations anytime you are working on a word problem, okay? So let's take a look at a very similar problem, okay? Jimmy wants to buy a game. Man, he's just, greedy for them games. His mother said she would pay him only if he emptied the dishwasher for $5 and mowed the yard for $15. He did both of those chores twice that month. How much money did he earn? So I know that he's going to earn $15 for mowing the yard. Okay, so mowing the yard. It's good practice to underline things that are important for your equation. I also know that he's going to have $5 for emptying the dishwasher. That's not fun. I don't like emptying the dishwasher. I don't like loading it either, though. But we know that he didn't just do that once, but he did it twice. So I'm going to put parentheses around that because that's going to be my first step. And then I'm going to put a 2 out here. Remember, when a 2 is right next to a parentheses, that means we're going to multiply. If you wanted to put the multiplication symbol there, that's totally fine too. But you don't have to, okay? So we're going to say that that equals, let's make it J, because that's the first letter of my first name, okay? Again, doesn't really matter what you make your variable, okay? So we're going to use good old PEMDAS, okay? And we're going to solve this equation using the triangle method, okay? So we do have a parenthesis, so we're going to do 5 plus 15, and that will get us 20, okay? Before I do any more math, I'm going to rewrite the rest of my equation. Last week I said sometimes it's important to leave that parentheses there, and this is a good example when. If I didn't bring the parentheses down with me, I might not be sure if I'm multiplying. So sometimes it's a good idea to bring that down. And before I get ahead of myself, no parentheses left, exponents now. We've just got multiplication left. 2 times 20, if I did 20 plus 20, that would get me 40, and 40 would equal J, okay? So what I'm stating is that I think that J is equal to 40, and if I replace J up at the top with 40, I should get an answer that says 40 equals 40, okay? So solving equations is a lot like simplifying expressions, and we should feel really comfortable with making equations from a word problem. If we can create equations from a word problem, it'll help us solve it a lot more efficiently and where we can make sure we don't make any mistakes. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope solving equations isn't too tough for you. We love you, we miss you, and I'll see you next time.